Hello and welcome to Gladys Cake Kitchen. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how to decorate this beautiful hexagon cake by covering it in layers of ganache, aiming for a multicolored textured look using an offset spatula. I'll also be handing you a complete beginner-friendly guide to preparing your fresh flowers for use as decoration on this cake. Packed with more tips to help you confidently tackle your first hexagon and fresh flowers cake. This video is the second and final part of a two-part series where in a previous video I showed you how to fill and cover this hexagon cake using a double cake board aiming for sharp edges. Part 1 is linked in the description box for you to check out, but in today's video we're finishing this beautiful cake off with splashes of gold luster paint, some edible pearls, an acrylic name charm and fresh flowers to complete the decorative elements. The cake is then elegantly displayed on a fondant covered board presented as a cake top forward. I am very excited to show you all about this cake, so without having to waste your time, let's jump right into it. A quick recap though, so our cake was completed in part 1 after covering in ganache and scraping off any excess using a scraper. A sharp warm knife was used to cut away any lines of ganache hanging off the lifts of the intersecting lines before polishing off, leaving a cleanly covered cake with razor sharp lines. The cake was then left to set and now has been returned to be covered in layers of different coloured ganache, starting with a white coloured chocolate ganache. This is basically white chocolate ganache mixed with some white food colouring. Details of how I did this are left in the description box, so please do check that out. Small dollops of the white chocolate ganache are splattered on top of the cake and an offset spatula used to spread the ganache by dragging the ganache sparingly. There is no rhyme or rhythm to this, but the dollops of ganache are randomly spaced so other coloured ganache would fill in. With the white ganache spread on top and around the cake, the next color is pink, following the same technique. However, the pink colored ganache is a filler, filling in the spaces left between the white ganache. At this stage of layering, each layer of ganache has to be kept separate from the other, and to achieve this, the spatula is cleaned repetitively before and when spreading the colored ganache. After each layer of ganache is applied, the cake is left to set before the next layer is applied, while the layers of ganache will be blended together later. Leaving the cake to set and keeping the spatula clean helps to create a distinction between the colors, which helps to give the cake a polished, textured look without the colors mixing together completely. The colors are spread around the cake, and after blending the white, subtle pink and hot pink together, a sharp warm knife is used to clean around the cake, cutting away any excess ganache hanging off the lines and the edges of the cake. The cake is then flipped upside down, and the same techniques used to layer and cover the cake. With the cake now completely covered in layers of multicolored ganache, it is left to set while I move on to prepping the flowers. The flowers are a mixed selection of large peonies, some roses and some small filler flowers. It is important to ensure the flowers from source to use are food safe and that the flowers are not inserted directly into the cake without creating a food safe barrier. I do this by cutting out the stalk of each flower, inserting a sturdy barbecue stick in its place for the large flowers. For smaller ones, I insert a toothpick. This is done for all the flowers but has to be done shortly before setup, just to stop the flowers from withering. After the flowers are done, the chilled cake is returned to be set up on a fondant covered board as a cake top forward. Notice the cake did not have any internal dowel to support it. This is because I compensated by using a solid chocolate mud cake covered in dark chocolate ganache of a ratio of 2.5 to 1. The layers of white chocolate ganache were a ratio of 4 to 1, which meant the cake was solid to stand facing forward without any internal support. Details of the ganache ratios and uses are left in the description box for you to check out. Next, some ganache is spread randomly on the cake to serve as glue, and some ivory luster pearls sprinkled using a knife to press them into the cake to add texture. A splatter of gold paint made from gold luster dust and rejuvenated fluid is splashed on the cake using a brush. There is a video linked up here showing you how I make this gold paint for use on a christening cake, so please do check this out. A good tip to observe when splashing the gold paint is to cover the board and the surfaces around the cake, as the paint spreads everywhere and can be tricky to clean. Our cake is done and set, and it's now time to decorate with some flowers. To start with, a bowl of fondant is placed in a corner in front of the cake. This serves as a barrier into which the flowers will be inserted. I do this simply for convenience, so I am able to reposition the flowers if needed without poking the cake. This also helps to limit direct contact into the cake. The goal is always to limit any non-edible materials coming into contact with the cake. And for flowers, always ensure food-safe barriers such as posy picks are used where necessary. The flowers are arranged and a name charm from Burnt Island Occasions is attached. Nikki and the team are amazing at what they do and are my go-to for custom acrylic elements, charms and card toppers. The cake was set up now for lots and lots of photos, but here's our finished cake. A semi-naked ganache textured hexagon and fresh flowers cake. Achieving clean, sharp edges on a cake can be hard to do, but to learn how to achieve these clean lines on this hexagon cake easily, check out part 1 of this video showing right up here, and there are more videos in a playlist to help you level up your decorating skills linked in the description box. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.